Alex here with a video on legal nuts and bolts on why lawyers can't understand the plight of a non-lawyer. It's going to be an incredibly short video. Here's why, and I mean, take what you want from this realization that I've had. This is a realization that I've had. I find it to be scarily true. I don't know why I use the word scary. Anyway, the reason that lawyers cannot understand where non-lawyers are coming from, and I'm talking about when you go to court and you represent yourself. I'm not talking about, the plight of a non-lawyer living in life. I'm talking about when you go to court as a non-attorney and represent yourself. Lawyers don't understand what we go through when we do that. And here's why. I mean, we notice the difference, but a lot of them don't know why. A lot of them think it's just, well, you're uneducated, you didn't go to school, and that's why. But really, there's more to it than that. Here's why they can't understand. Most lawyers, they go to school at 18. They go to college at 18. They graduate, they go to law school at 22 if they're on track. So from 18 to 22, they get their bachelor's. From 22 to 25, they get their Juris Doctorate. They come out with their JD, with their Juris Doctorate, and they're in the court system. If they're one of those, some lawyers don't actually ever litigate. Some lawyers work different types of jobs. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is they start school at 18, they get out at 25, and they're in court as a lawyer. Most of these lawyers, they have not been fighting in court from in that span of 7 years when they're basically in their 20s. Most people who are in their 20s do everything they can to avoid court. Or if they do go to court, it's small claims. Most of these lawyers are not representing themselves in complex, formal litigation. And so the second that they're in court, they're treated as a lawyer. And they never see the difference. So they can't compare and contrast what it's like to be representing, to be an attorney versus not, because they've never done it. Very few have. Very few lawyers were representing themselves, winning Supreme Court cases, battling out big district court battles, not small claims. Very few lawyers were doing those things while they were in law school. And if they were, they would know the difference. They would know how different it is. Maybe I'll do a video on the differences between. Actually, I'll just cover probably one or two right now. So actually, I'm just going to cover one because I said this was going to be a quick video. The biggest difference that I've noticed is when you're a non-lawyer, the judge assumes that you're probably wrong. And when you're a lawyer, the judge assumes that you're probably right. Now, obviously, if there's two lawyers, they can't both be right. So the judge will probably look at both arguments and think of which one sounds better. But when you have one person represented by an attorney and one person not, most of the time I've noticed, and it's not a bias like, I hate non-lawyers, I'm going to rule against you because I hate them. It's not a bias in that sense. What I've noticed is it's kind of just something that's just like in the back of a judge's mind. The lawyer is saying this, the non-lawyer is saying that. The non-lawyer never went to school, and this guy did, so he's probably right. I'm not saying that they always rule that way, but it's a trend, it's a kind of subtle slope that kind of works against you. And some examples. There's cases where I filed a big motion with like all these details. I did all this research, and I filed this motion. And my opponent, who's got a lawyer, my ex's lawyer, filed like a 2-page opposition with like no laws in there. And I lost, and it's like, wait, what? Of course, I won appeals, so I figured out how to fix the judge's mistake. But I'm like, how is this happening? I'm doing like, there was a case where I did like a 12-page motion or opposition. Like they did like a motion to dismiss, and I did this like 12-page opposition, and my case was dismissed. And I'm like, seriously? They did like no research, and I did like tons and tons, and I lost. Of course, I appealed that one and it reversed, but it's just irritating. And so I'm kind of getting off track. The point of this video is to try to explain to people why I think lawyers are never going to really understand your plight. If you're representing yourself, they really don't know what it's like to be in your shoes, and they never will, because they have already graduated, and they will always be treated as an attorney. And you will always be treated, well, unless you go to law school sometime later. And then, which case would be really cool, because then you would actually have both perspectives. You would notice the difference. You'd be able to stand in court as an attorney and say, you know what, Your Honor? It's not fair. And here's why. I actually tried to do it, and I noticed big differences with how you're treating me now versus how I was treated when I was a non-attorney. And there are differences. There are differences. I might do another video on what all those differences are. I might not. I don't know. I don't know how important it is to help people out in this case. I just want to say stay the course because, you know, eventually you'll build your credibility up in your case. Hopefully, anyway. Hopefully you'll build some credibility up. It takes a long time. And hopefully things start going better for you. For anyone else who's in a high conflict child custody case, just keep on going, keep on trying. Hopefully this news isn't too negative, but I really don't think it's something that is a surprise to people. What I just think is the insight as to why they don't understand is that kind of was a surprise. That was an epiphany for me to really think, because in the beginning I was just so frustrated that my opponent's attorney didn't seem to care. And of course I'm not going to care that you're your opponent. I covered this in my very first video. If you need to watch my first video, go watch it. And then your friends, because I started to make some friends that were attorneys, they really didn't believe some of the stuff that I said was happening. And it's like, you don't know because you went to school at 18, you popped out at 25 with a JD, you never fought any court battles in that period of time. You went into court a lawyer, and you will never know what it's like now. So anyway, I'll go ahead and end this video. If anyone has any questions, just post in the comments below. Smash the like button. Thanks. Bye.